So, can everyone hear me? Cool. All right, let's go ahead and start. Welcome to the third or so general meeting. Today we're going to be going over recruiting, pretty much everything from building a resume and online portfolio to then going out and actually networking, getting referrals and whatnot. So before we get into all of that, can we go ahead and start the project updates? So starting with SG Connect, I'll go ahead and unshare my screen, and then you guys can share your screen and give an update or whatever.
Okay, I'll give the report for SG. So basically we met up last week and we finished our designs are mostly finished on the user experience for the Figmas, and we did a job of finishing up those. We're now down to one engineer, unfortunately, so we're gonna be all hands on deck coding after we have the designs finished up and move forward from there. So yeah, that's where we're at with our progress.
So Aegis? Wait, oh, Colin's not here. So Bernardo, Neil, or Sarin?
I can take it if my sound isn't weird. Is it horrible?
I can do it. Okay. So we finished our first feature, which was a login interface. And we also decided on the tech stack that we're going to use. So I worked on the front end, and I was able to get a login screen with the basic login screen with React Native. And Neil was able to configure AWS for the user to be able to log in and sign up. And we just have to implement the design that Bernardo showed us. So we just had to put a logo and put in some smooth user transitions. Yeah.
Okay, dope. Sor?
Hey, we made a quick PowerPoint presentation. Can I share my screen?
Do it.
Dude, Amanda's presentation is great. You guys are gonna love it. Okay, it says you disabled the participant screen sharing.
Try again.
Okay. I think the screen. All right, hold up. Let me start here. All right. So, let me switch this real quick. Fucking I just. All right. So, these are some some of Amanda's designs, and we have pretty much like all the designs done for the project, and we're working on coding like everything. We've done like 4 or 5 different Lambda functions. So we have login done, we have sign up done, and it's all connected to the backend. And so the features that we've done, we have a few cool features. So let me show it here. I have this pulled up for a second. We have so since we're doing login account creation, that we have patient codes and doctor codes can be verified. We have Lambda functions to like check for the codes, and then you click a button and it goes into DynamoDB. And we have a few other things that are working nicely. And now we're gonna work on compressing images to upload stuff to Amazon S3, so it works out like correctly, and we don't spend all of TPO's money on data storage. But yeah, this is where we are. Thank you guys. I think I share this.
Dope. That looks great, y'all. Brandon Blackstone?
Yeah, so we just finished up the back end for the login. Just got to clean up the front end, and then the login feature will be done. We prioritize all the features that we're going to do. And safe to say we are completely on track to finish like at the beginning of May. So we have everything planned out well. Designs are still in progress, but it's looking pretty good.
Dope. And Manu, where is Manu? Brayden?
Yeah, so we used to be food trucks, but now because of the coronavirus, we focused on restructuring and basically completely changing our project. And so now our project focuses on creating a platform for subleasing different apartments or things along those lines, or like selling like a parking spot. So this past week, we've been getting on a couple different calls to talk about the plan going forward with that new project. And so going forward from there, Sandra already made a lot of designs for the project. So now it's just up to the engineers on the team, including me and Yash, to go ahead and put all hands on deck to get it going. So yeah.
Dope. Yep. Well, it sounds like everyone's making pretty solid progress. Obviously, there have been some kinks in the road, and we get that because of COVID-19. And the exec team just wants to let you guys know also, we know that it's been like a really, really rough time for everyone. And if there are any like extenuating circumstances or anything that you should let us know, please let us know, because we understand things are difficult. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into how to get a job and recruiting. So let me go ahead and share my screen back again. Dope. So these are kind of like the main 4 bullet points that you need to work on before you actually go and start recruiting. First, it's really obvious, have a good resume, have something that's concise, but also shows your own initiative, shows all your projects, and gives recruiters a really like holistic view that they can scan really easily and know that, hey, this is someone that I want to interview. Second is to create an online presence. And that online presence usually consists of a LinkedIn and then an online portfolio. This is really, really important for designers, but just in general, if you have an online website or an online presence where people can go and see different parts, different sides of you, the projects you've worked on, etc., it looks really, really good. And you'll be able to show, the recruiter that you're more than just a piece of paper, you're more than just a resume. The third is networking like a fiend and a beast, and making sure to reach out to as many people as possible to learn more about the jobs that you're applying to, learn about the companies, and then also getting referrals, which are super, super key to getting a job anywhere. Because what they don't tell you in school is like, most of the people who apply to these jobs are super qualified, but most of the people who get the jobs came in with referrals. And then lastly, actually prepping for the interviews. So the hard part really is getting the interview, getting in front of, getting into the interview room. But once you do that, you need to have the skills to actually land the job and show them that you can get things done. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and go over resumes, LinkedIn, online portfolios, and then afterwards, Serby is going to go over a little bit more into actually how to network and how to reach out to people and how to take that initiative that people like to see so often. So hopefully all of you guys have put in your resumes under the resume reviews page in Notion. If you haven't already, go into Members Internal, go into resume reviews, and then drop your resume. Serby and I will then afterwards go and do like resume reviews, and we'll post in a commented Word doc or a commented PDF in that Notion page. And then we can like schedule a separate talk to talk about your resume strengths and weaknesses and kind of how to improve it. So some really key things are in your resume, something to understand is that no one's actually going to read every single bullet point of your resume. The only point of a resume is to kind of have like a quick outline and a quick overview of everything you've done. So a really good way to test whether your resume is solid and good is give it to a random person that you've never met, or maybe a friend that's never read your resume. Ask them to scan it in 20 seconds. And then afterwards, have them recite back to you what they got from that resume. And if what they've recited back to you is something solid and it's who you want to portray yourself as to the recruiter, then it's good. If it's not, obviously make some changes. Especially when recruiting for tech jobs, they really look for projects. So do you have the initiative to go work on your own projects? And definitely focus on your TPO projects, leadership, and internships. Something that's also really important is to quantify pretty much everything you do. So, if you're working on a project, instead of saying, oh, I coded this feature or whatever, you could say, I coded this feature that improved like user retention by 70%. Just always try to quantify, always try to put a number to it. Maybe say, I built this application that was used by over 2,000 people. That sounds a lot better than I just built an application. And then something to also remember is try not to be too dry. Make sure to put hobbies and interests and try to differentiate yourself. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and show some examples for software engineering, UI UX design, and then product management. Does anyone, I'm assuming you guys all have used like the templates that your schools provide for you. That's usually pretty solid if you're applying for software engineering, but if you're doing design or you're doing product management, sometimes you might want to add your own flair, add a different color scheme or things like that. But in terms of software engineering, what's really important here are your projects, especially if you don't have past internship experience. And then once you actually get experience, obviously listing that out. So here's some like pretty good examples, pretty solid examples of software engineering resumes. As you can see, they're super technical and they're kind of just classic resume formats. You're always going to want to have your education up at the top with your GPA. If your GPA is below like a 3.5, then you can exclude the GPA. You'll have, your expected graduation dates and then kind of what you're studying. You can sometimes put your technical skills up top, or if you believe that your experience or course projects are most important, put it at the top. Essentially, whatever is most impressive about yourself and whatever you'd like to focus and you'd want recruiters to see first, put it at the very top. So if you have a project that's just super cool or super great and it's much better than your experiences, then put that at the top. And then vice versa with experience and projects. And pretty much what consists of a software engineering resume. It's the education, you have the experience, the personal projects, which are really big, and then maybe awards outside. Say you participated in a hackathon, or maybe you just got an award or a scholarship or whatever. You just want to make sure to put that in here. And the best way to kind of go about doing this, and this is just for all resumes in general, is go on LinkedIn, look up people from your school who got the software engineering internship at the place that you want to go. Then look for their personal websites, go onto their personal websites, look at their resumes and see what they put down, see what skills they put down, and see how they got the interviews. Because the way that these tech recruiting companies work is they create machine learning algorithms, right? And they give the resumes that pass the check basically with like a word cloud of all the different key terms that they found in those resumes. And then they'll scan your resume before they even actually have a person look over it. So there are like two ways to get someone to look at your resume. One is a referral. Two is it passes through the ML check that your resume has all the key terms that past applicants have. Cool. So here are some resume examples for UI UX design. What is also super useful is just go online and once again, just see the resumes that pass the check at the company that you want to work for the position that you're applying for. When Adri and I were working together to craft her resume to apply to Facebook's product design, we literally just went on this Medium website, found all these examples that passed Facebook's product designer bar and saw all the skills, all the experiences, everything that these people put. And then we strategically found, you know, the most commonly used skills and the most commonly used terms to then put on her resume. And as you can see, usually product designer resumes are going to want to be a little prettier than software engineering. They're going to want to see that you have design skills of your own. And it's just the same, it's the same exact composition of your skills, personal projects, education, and experience. And as you can see, this is what we did with Adri's resume. So a lot of these skills, as you can see, are like interaction design and visual design and UI UX, and there are specific tools that these people who got the jobs put down, and we put those same exact tools down on here. So as you can see, you'll have like UI UX design, digital imaging. We put those same skills here, and yeah, it's always just a really, really solid way to get things done. Just go and see people who have passed the bar and make sure you have the same stuff on your resume so you can pass the resume check. Cool. And yeah, it's always also another big thing, because the resume is so concise, because it's so short and it's just a skimming tool, something that can be helpful if a recruiter is really interested in your resume is to provide outside links. So links to your resume, links to your online portfolio, even sometimes links to the companies that you've worked for, because then they'll be able to explore more what you've done and kind of put an image behind the text that's on your resume. Cool. So now let's go into PM resumes. So PM resumes are a little bit harder and they're a little bit more fickle, because when you're doing software engineering or you're doing product design or UI UX design, it's really, really clear what sort of candidates they want, right? If it's software engineering, they want computer science majors who have worked on projects in the past. If it's product design, then they'll probably want someone who has a creative background or a creative major in advertising, design, etc., to take that position. But with product management, they'll essentially take anyone. They heavily lean towards CS majors and technical majors, but they'll also take data science, business, pretty much anyone else, and or they'll even take designers, and they'll really take anyone. It just depends on what aspect you really are really good at and which one you want to use as your spike to get into the door. So once again, I found these resumes of people who are PMs at LinkedIn, PMs at Twitter, just by stalking their LinkedIns. It's actually like really difficult to find solid like resume examples, because a lot of the times people don't put that online. But a quick tip that I usually do is going on LinkedIn. So for example, I know Laura Gao is a product manager at Twitter, and here's her website. And even if I can't find resumes online in like a Medium article or something, I can stalk their website online and then find their resumes that actually help them get the job. So that's always a very, very solid move. And we can just walk through this again. It's pretty simple. Here are the links to her outside online presence, right? Her website. And her website has some of her blog posts, some opinions on different technologies or recruiting. And recruiters really like to see this because it shows initiatives. It shows that you have a mind and thoughts outside of just school, and that you're confident enough in those thoughts and those abilities that you want to share that online. So as you can see, work experience, education, skills, and then creative projects and interests. It's just a regular resume, but obviously well done. Good quantification here. And then obviously she has big brand names on her resume, which are always solid. Cool. And any of these examples can also, I also posted these on the resume reviews Notion, and I think you guys also have the link to the Google Slides. So cool. All right. Beyond their resume, portfolio websites, this is really good. When someone Googles your name, it should come up with your portfolio website or your LinkedIn. Here you should list all of your projects, list your resume, write some articles, and kind of make it yours. So let's go ahead and look at some examples. So 810 very, very foolishly shared me his portfolio website, but I think it looks really, really good. And it's really clean, it's really simple, and it's something that you guys should all do. It will definitely put you ahead of the curve. So here it's, Aiden says he's a CS and math major here at UT Austin. He has his sort of personal statement right there. Oh, what a pretty little guy. And then he has, his different organizations that he's worked at, as well as his different projects, which is pretty much what you should have here. What's also solid, is if you link your GitHub code so they can see whether you can actually code or not, whether it's solid or not. And this is overall really good. Better than my own, my own personal website. So we can look at my website. I made this a while ago. Oh shoot, someone's trying to, oh, it looks good. Sorry, Aiton. We can look at Marshall's if you want. Marshall Brandt, UT Austin. Let's check it out. Let's see. Wow.
Yeah, if you just go to Marshall Brandt.
Wait, .com?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, as you can see, it's super simple, and sometimes that's all you need. You can also make it as cool. Oh wow, that's pretty cool, Marshall.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, you can add anything you want. It's pretty solid, and yeah, you should have a portfolio website. So here's mine. It's kind of outdated and old. Oh, that's kind of cringe, but yeah, you see I have a personal statement here, and then I have like what I like, and then what's really important is the stuff that I work on. So yeah, so those are just like examples sometimes, and it's really, really easy, even if you don't know how to code, to go and find templates online and then just reuse those templates. So I did a quick search of some portfolio templates on GitHub, and as you can see, there are a ton of different templates where you can just edit the HTML code and then host it on GitHub pages. So if you're looking to create a portfolio website, I highly, highly recommend just going on GitHub, finding a template, editing it for yourself, putting any changes that you want, and then hosting it on GitHub pages with a custom domain or without a custom domain. And if you have any questions, obviously, like, you can text me or Marshall or anyone on how to go about doing this. Cool. Now let's look at LinkedIn portfolios. I know it's kind of cringe, but LinkedIn is actually super important when it comes to recruiting and networking. Essentially, your LinkedIn portfolio should just be an expanded resume. Make sure to have a professional photo and then a personal statement. So we can go ahead and check out what that looks like by going on Surveys. Cool. So as you can see, here's Survey. Cool photo. And as you can see, she has a personal statement. I'm a senior at UT Austin, and I want to work in marketing to foreign policy to analytics. And here she has a little bit of pizzazz about herself that she works at anime conventions. Cool. And as you can see down here, you have her work experience. We can look at this guy. So Daniel Miarez, he graduated last year. He's now an APM at Uber, and he has a very solid LinkedIn portfolio, LinkedIn profile. professional photo, SF background because he's a tech hardo. Personal statement, his experience, and on your LinkedIn, you can be a little bit more wordy with what you've done and talk about all the different things that you've done. It should be longer than what's on your resume, but not too long, right? And yeah, honestly, a solid choice or a solid way to do a LinkedIn portfolio, resume, or personal website is just see who people you admire, see how they've done it, and see, people who have been successful in what you want to go into, see how they've done it, and then try to emulate that. Cool. And yeah, like I was saying, what I was doing when I created my LinkedIn portfolio is I looked at previous UT McCombs students who had been successful in recruiting for PM positions in the Bay. And two of those were Raza and Daniel. And I essentially mirrored my LinkedIn more or less after that. So if we look at Raza's, it's just the same exact thing really, but looks clean, looks good. And this is my LinkedIn portfolio. There's that. And then my experience, plus more.
Do you link your personal website on your LinkedIn?
I don't think I did, but you definitely should, like maybe in your personal statement. Yeah. I should update my LinkedIn and my personal
How are they
website.
supposed to find out about your how are they supposed to find out about your website if it's not on your LinkedIn?
Yeah, so you should put your website on your LinkedIn and then also your resume. So a lot of the times when you're applying to these jobs, you'll have there will be a section that allows you to put like a personal website link, and so that's usually where you put it.
Oh,
but
okay.
If you look at my resume, at the top, my email, phone number, website, education, skills. These are personal projects, hackathons, and then my experience, and then like awards and stuff. And you can all see that on the Notion. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just have an online portfolio, have a resume nailed down. So when a recruiter is scanning your resume and when a recruiter wants to find out more about you, they can easily just Google your name, Google UT Austin at the end, and find out anything that you want to show them. So yeah, that's my part. Serby?
Can y'all hear me okay? Is my mic super loud? Okay, cool. If I like break up or anything anytime while I'm talking, I think Jonathan shared the presentation link with y'all, so you can just look in the speakers notes. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Wait, Jonathan, can you give me, or let me share my screen? Oh, okay, actually, can y'all give me like a sec? I'm going to like switch to using my phone. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna leave the meeting. See you in a bit. Oh. Okay, is this? Okay, I'm just gonna keep it like this. Okay. All right. So when I like started networking or heard the term networking when I was a freshman, I honestly thought it was pretty like sleazy. I was like, I don't just want to like kiss ass for an hour and talk to these people I don't care about. Like what is the point of any of this? But I think as I started doing more calls, I realized that networking is actually super important, and it can even like get kind of fun, like if you get into the groove of things and doing calls. So there are like three super important benefits to networking. The first thing is that like obviously you learn more about the job, but we're talking about when you're talking to people that are actually doing that job, they use certain terminology when they're describing their role and their functions that you can then repeat back in interviews or calls with other people at that position. So, for example, I remember once I was talking to someone that was working as a data scientist, and they were talking about how they used like the scientific method on their job, and like they went through a very specific process when solving problems. So then I was able to like turn around and like in the interview use that same language, and it almost like gave off the vibe that I was like already working there and we were just working on a problem together and it was a normal day at work, if that makes sense. The second thing is obviously building a network within a company is pretty important. So say you just like talk to someone at like some company and you know you don't really vibe with their job, but like you think the company's super cool. Well, then if you see an opening on the engineering team or something or somewhere where you really want to work, you can always hit up that person and be like, hey, like I saw that this position is like open. Do you know anyone I could talk to about that? And then you can, get connected with the engineering team. And the final and most important reason is that you can get referred to internships or full-time jobs that you apply to. I think Jonathan was talking about this earlier, but a lot of times a recruiter won't manually like review your resume. They'll put it through an algorithm that kind of like goes through it for you like automatically. But when I was talking to my CS friends, I got the vibe that if you're referred, that means that like a person is actually going to review your resume and like you'll also get bumped up to the top of the pile.
There's some referrals that get guaranteed an interview.
Wait, sorry, could you say that again?
Some referrals you're guaranteed to have an interview with the company.
Yeah. I don't know if, wait, sorry, I'm like trying to position the chat so I can see it. I've heard of that being the case, and like so at some companies where like if you're referred, like you're pretty much gonna get an interview, but it's like hit or miss sometimes. But yeah. Okay, so you have all these like cool companies that you want to work for, but how exactly like do you get connected with people that actually work there? So I would say the number one way is see if you have any like mutual friends or colleagues that like know people that work at those companies, or try and attend networking events where you can like meet those people face to face or like actually talk to them. At least in my experience, I feel like it's better to like know them or like meet them and like see them first, because then they'll kind of remember who you are. The second best way is through reaching out to them by email. Some ways you can get emails are like through the alumni database. I think UT like has one. Specifically, I've used the Macombs one a lot. I'm sure other colleges have alumni databases. A lot of career coaches can connect you to alumni. There's also this website called hunter.io where you can like type in the name of a company and it'll yield like what the format is for emails at that company. So if you type in like fb.com, it'll say like, oh, the format is first name, last name at fb.com. It's like a little creepy, but I mean, as long as you like say maybe like I was searching on LinkedIn and like I saw that you're working at this job and like like in this position and it looks really cool, like you can, it's fine. And then the last way is through LinkedIn. Jonathan showed some, or later in the presentation, there's some really good templates on how to reach out to people through LinkedIn. I will say sometimes it can be a hit or miss. Like a lot of times people like won't respond, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try and reach out. Okay, so here's like an example of a LinkedIn template. Just like something really short. If you're emailing them, it can be a little bit longer. If you met them at an event or like someone else told you to talk to this person, make sure you drop their name like pretty early on in the note. And then like keep it short. So yeah, here are some good examples. Like, as you can see, Jonathan, like, kept it short. He also really personalized it. People are really good at picking up if like your message is generic or not. So yeah, make sure you like tailor it to like their LinkedIn and their experience and like who they are. Awesome. Okay, so you've reached out to people and you have set up a call with them. So how do you make sure that the call goes well? And I used to be really, really bad at calls, and it took me a while to kind of like get the structure down. But once you once you get into the groove of it, it like goes great. You have a lot of fun. So how I usually start my calls is, like you just like say hi, make like really chill conversation. I throw in some like stupid joke about my day, like I'm not going to give an example, whatever, just like say something silly. And then you transition to like talking about the actual subject matter of the call. So like say like, hey, like thank you so much for like agreeing to talk to me today. I know you're really busy, but I'm so interested in data science and your experience looks really interesting, and like something like that. And I usually start off with saying, I would love to know a little more about what your day-to-day looks like and what your roles as a product manager looks like. Now, in terms of the actual content of the call, I found that, so I remember at first I used to just go in and start like drilling them with like really technical questions. And I was like, I need to like flex on them and like make sure that they know I'm smart and I've done my research. And I like don't do that. Like people don't like this is not a job interview. Like, yeah, just don't. So I found that I'll ask like one question that's maybe a little bit more technical, and I'll give examples of what that would look like. And then a few more questions that like are a little more about themselves as people and their experience, and also questions that are like a little more fun. So after you've asked your questions, you need to make sure you end with something like, I'm really interested in this job, or I actually applied to this job. Do you have any advice for me? And I kind of use that sentence as an indirect way of asking for a referral. You can definitely, you probably should be like a little more direct, and be like, hey, like, I'm really interested in this position. Do you think there's any way that like you could refer me? I'm just kind of like scared and a little, I don't know, that's like a little scary to me. I'm like really bad at asking things straight up. So that sentence might be like a little better of a way of, framing that question. And then kind of leading off of that, maybe if they're not on the team that you want to work on, like you could just kind of have your last sentence be, I enjoyed talking to you about product management. I know design is also something I'm really interested in as well. Is there anyone you think would be good to talk to about that? And then they will usually be like, oh, well, I work with a designer. Let me send you over their email. Yeah, just a few general tips. Like, again, you'll get better with practice. Like, I remember my first few calls, literally so cringy. They're just really bad. I ended up asking about like company scandals and stuff, and I like got roasted. Yeah. Um, oh my God, I'm cringing just thinking about it. It's fine. The other thing is, this might be different if you're maybe recruiting for like banking or consulting or another industry, but try and be relaxed, laid back. You want to make sure that they have the vibe that like you could fit into the culture and you can be chill. Third thing, yeah, ask a mix of technical and non-technical questions. And then the last thing that I found to be really useful is if you talk about yourself too. And I'll give examples of this last bullet point in these slides. So when I say technical questions, I mean questions like this that are like very specific to the product and the operations of the company. I think maybe asking one question like this like kind of shows that you're keeping up to date with what they're doing and you like know what their company is. Also, I'm not going to like spend a lot of time on these or slides. Like you can just like go back and read over the questions if you want. Now, when I say ask 1 to 3 questions that are like non-technical, ask things that like have to do with the nature of their work. So, you know, for example, you can be like, oh, I see you're a product manager and you know, you must have to like work with a lot of stakeholders that aren't technical and are technical. Do you have any advice on how to do that? And then they'll say something and then you respond and follow up by being like, oh, that's like really useful to know. I'm actually in an org called TPO where I have to work with a bunch of different people from, you know, different backgrounds and majors as well. So it's always really useful to get advice on like how I can improve myself as a communicator. And then that will kind of like lead into like another tangent and another conversation. Yeah, and just try and like whenever they like say something, try and follow up and allude to like your own experiences. Examples of that like as sub bullet points. And then another thing, the final thing is whenever I'm doing calls, I always try and ask one like fun, non-technical question. I found that a question that worked really well for me is I would ask for advice on like an org or something I was doing. So when I was doing calls like last year, I would say, you know, like I know your company is like, I know like you're really involved in like diversity initiatives. We're actually starting like an LGBT org in the business program. Do you have any advice for us in terms of, you know, starting the org and make sure we're being inclusive? You can also allude to your own experience working on projects like, oh, I'm working on this project that's doing XYZ. Do you have any advice on how to implement something that's efficient? I don't know. Just like that. Because then they get to know more about you, but then they also get to like give you advice. And I feel like it builds more of a connection. Yeah, here's some other examples, like ask them about classes, ask them about study abroad. Yeah, sorry, I think this is okay, cool, this is the last slide. Yeah, and then when you start like going into those little tangents and then you start talking about yourself, it just like turns kind of fun. I know like whenever people were giving me advice for networking, they were like, oh, try and make it a conversation. And I was like, okay, well, how do I do that? But I think kind of just like relating their experiences with your experiences is like a way of doing that. Yeah, okay. Does anyone have any questions? Cool, great. I'm gonna unshare my screen. Yeah, if you have any questions, literally feel free to hit up like any of the exec team or like, okay, I like don't know. Oh, here we go.
I had a quick question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I've reached out to people on LinkedIn before, and like I found like people that I think would be like awesome for me to talk to, but then I get ghosted. Is it like a bad idea to bump them on that?
No.
Yeah, I think it's like totally fine if you bump them because you literally have like you really don't have anything else to lose. And a lot of times like your message might just get like lost and like they might just forget to respond. So if you bump them, like they'll be like, oh, sorry, like totally missed your first message.
Facts. I've bumped people like 4 times before I've gotten on a call before. It's not like I have any dignity to lose anyways,
Yeah.
but it worked. Oh, also, wait, what did you say?
I was just talking about how I bumped what was her name?
Oh yeah, the product design intern at Facebook like what 5 times?
Yeah.
Uh,
She responded to me.
What do you say when you bump them? Just like,
Well, they're usually just like, hey, I'm sorry, like, yeah, for sure, I'd love to talk to you, and then you just
yeah, just say like, hey, following up on this, or hey, bump. Like sometimes I'll literally just say bump exclamation point, but it gets the job done. Also, something that you guys should know, if you can't get into like big companies or big prestigious companies right out of the bat, the next best thing that you should be doing is you should be working at either like lower tier companies, or you should be working at startups or working on your own personal projects. The smaller the company, the more effective networking is, in my opinion. I know a lot of the examples that we've been giving and a lot of the context that we've been giving has been, for like bigger companies, for full-time recruiting, but this works so well with small startups, especially because you can hyper personalize, your interest for the team and what they're doing. And it's super networking on LinkedIn. I like sat down with Derek and we reached out to a whole bunch of different Austin startups. And I'm pretty sure every single person responded to us, including the CEO of one of the startups, because we personalized the messages together. So this is a big move. It'll help you stand out a lot.
So when you say, sorry, Jonathan, when you say personalize the message, do you mean like, cater it towards like a certain plan, or what do you mean?
Yeah, let me just, I can show you literally what I've sent on LinkedIn, and I can
Nice.
tell you like my thought process behind it. So if my Wi-Fi works, cool. So for example, let's go on messaging. When I was recruiting last semester, anyways, let's see. Let's go into the example with like Joshua. So I wanted to apply to the PM position at Spotify. And so what I did was I went on LinkedIn and I went into the search part. I looked up Spotify, and then I looked it up in people. Then I went up here, all filters, schools, University of Texas at Austin. Cool. Filter by that. And then I can see all the people who have worked at Spotify. And literally I clicked on their profile as the first person. I looked, okay, who do we know? Yada, yada, yada. Okay. Product manager. And I saw Longhorn Startup Lab. I was like, oh, shoot. I was in Longhorn Startup Lab. This is perfect. So I also saw that he graduated in 2018, so pretty recently. And then I messaged him. I said, and as like my headline, I said, UT junior LSL alum, because he was also in Longhorn Startup Lab. And I said, I'm interested in Spotify. I said, hey, Josh, I'm Jonathan, a junior at UT, and I'm super interested in the work you've done with Spoke, which was his startup that he talked about that was in Longhorn Startup Lab right here, right? And I asked, I like set a set time, like a 30-minute call, which is short enough, but also long enough that you can talk and get to know someone. And I mean, we actually ended up speaking for an hour. So it was really solid. I talked about Longhorn Startup Lab. Pretty much anything that you find in common with the people that you find on LinkedIn, drop that, because then it's more likely that they're going to respond to you. And then he actually ended up giving me a referral too. So that was solid. Same with this guy who is a product marketing manager at LinkedIn. I saw on his profile that he was in BHP. Also, my parents are arguing in the background. Anyways, this guy studied BHP and
lo and behold.
Can you guys stop, please? Thanks. All right.
It's only that easy. Oh my god.
Okay. All right.
Jonathan, I have a question.
Yep.
On your message, Joshua.
Yeah. What's up?
Can you go back?
Yeah, for sure.
I have a question about the message with Joshua. Yeah. So at the top, are you the one who typed in UT Junior LSL alum interested in Spotify?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you recommend that if we reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, we should like have it like a tagline like that with who we are and stuff?
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah. Do you recommend that like if we reach out to people on LinkedIn, like we should have tagline like a tagline like that, and like what should we put in it? Like whenever.
Yeah, I mean, usually in the tagline, I just put whatever I have in common with the person I'm reaching out to. So for example, this guy's a product manager. Well, actually I didn't use the taglines here, but this guy's a product manager at Robinhood. He was in the same internship program that I was in, and I just name drop. Oh, well, maybe I didn't name drop there. Let's see. There are some other people I reached out to. So for example, this guy, he's an APM at Google, and then we were in the same internship, so I name dropped. I think it's super solid to have the tagline. Let's see if I put the tagline. Yeah, so as you can see, Matthew Zhao, he was in BHP. He's a PM at Indeed, and I put that I'm a BHP junior interested in product. I think it's a solid move to put that there because it like catches their eye and actually makes them want to respond to you. Cool. Any other questions? No? Okay. Cool. Sounds good. Then, yeah, that's all that we have in terms of recruiting. We were thinking of having like a social period where we can go do stuff. So if y'all are busy, you can go. But if not, I think we're gonna like play a massive Kahoot and then also play some Jackbox games. Cool. All right, I'm gonna start a massive Kahoot. Do you guys want to do a Kahoot over anything in general? Otherwise, it's just gonna be like trivia or something. Hello? Okay. I'm just gonna pull up a Kahoot.
I don't know.
Hello?
I mean,
No? Hello?
hello?
Hey.
How you doing?